I want both John and Mike to listen very carefully to this interview because this is a psychologist. Here's Mike.
Yeah, you two better listen very close. I'm here with Dr. Julie Amato, a licensed clinical psychologist and sports really expert here. Julie, great to have you here on campus.
Thank you so much. I'm excited.
Absolutely, and you work so much with our sports teams, and this is such kind of a buzzword nowadays, you know, having the right sports mind, educating and focusing and having really conquering the mind, even not just the body, correct?
Yeah, it's really huge right now in terms of just a lot of pro athletes coming out talking about mental health and having the right mindset. And so Lafayette's really on the cutting edge for the Patriot League, having a sports psychologist here and somebody who really specializes in working on that with their athletes.
Now you work both with individuals and obviously teams here, and you work with some of the teams here on campus, including our women's basketball team. What is so special about a group versus maybe an individual?
So what we decided at Lafayette with the athletic administration is all the athletes should have this resource available to them. So I work with all of the teams in the sense that each athlete is allowed to come and schedule sessions with me one-on-one, and they do. And I've seen the kids all across this campus. But then there are some coaches and programs that are really dialed into the mental performance aspects, and women's basketball is one of them. So I do work closely with them and a couple other teams on campus. And in that case, we'll do team sessions where we'll talk about topics like managing performance anxiety and things like that. Yeah.
When you talk about strengthening the mind, it is just as powerful, obviously, to understand, because everybody says you have to see it before you do it. Is that something that's kind of what you teach about?
Yeah, I mainly teach them, look, there's three things we can train as humans. Like they can train, physically, which they do with Coach Potts in the weight room. They get themselves ready to go. They can train their craft, which is basketball in this case, and then they can train their mind, because when the time comes, it's really your brain that governs the rest of what you're doing. And so I think Lafayette's really into and invested in helping athletes train their minds and getting them ready and prepared so that when the pressure's on, they're able to still perform really well.
And you have to have, obviously, coaches and professors and Sharita Freeman who buys into this, because it's such an important thing. It's not just get in the weight room, work out, come to practice, and obviously things will happen. There's so much more that goes into it off the court.
Yeah, I mean, we watch the greatest athletes on the biggest stages, and they're not just born with no nerves and born so confident. I mean, that's a skill that they work on and develop, and so I think Sharita's really recognizing that, and Katie McKittrick and some of the other staff here, they know this is the next wave. I mean, concussion was the big wave for a while that we were really concerned about with athletes, and now it's really both mental health, like, just mental wellness, but also this other part that's like, hey, can we squeeze a little more out of that lemon in terms of getting every bit of potential we can out of these athletes and giving them that resource? I think it's been really valuable here.
Do you see a little bit of a change in the athlete from, say, 10 to 15 years ago than today?
Somewhat. I mean, I think, this generation gets a bad rap a little bit for not being as sturdy.
Too much social media.
Yeah, but quite frankly, these athletes are dealing with a lot. And I think here at Lafayette College, it's a really rigorous academic institution, and they care a lot about that. And they also care about their sport. And so we're just here to support them any way that we can. Yeah.
Now, you obviously work with Lafayette and with Princeton, and as we wrap up here, how can somebody get in touch with you? You're obviously from the Easton area. How can somebody say, you know what, I need that for my kid, or I need that for myself?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So my private practice is called Elite Mindset. So, you can Google me, Julie Amato, and you can, put in Elite Mindset, find my website. I'm on social media at Dr. Julie Amato. Yeah, and so connect with me, and local people often do, and I do the best I can to accommodate. But yeah, mainly these days I'm doing primarily sort of consulting on college campuses, which is really, really fun. Yeah.
Well, you're doing something right, because the girls scored 30 and they're holding the Colgate to 13. Thanks so much. Thanks so much for a couple minutes. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Gary, maybe she can help you with your putting. Back to you.
Well, I think she probably could, but I'm thinking more she could help you guys with your mind and maybe squeeze the lemon.
I knew the squeezing the lemon was going to show its ugly head.
Speaking of lemons, we'll be back with John. Stay with us.